Today on the CTV News at 5, understanding the scope of the disaster.
One of my little boys just said, he just kept saying, I love you, please don't die with me, please don't die with me.
Oklahoma reeling in the wake of that monster tornado. Plus, band members of the Piikani First Nation are in mourning after a horrific fatal hit and run. And celebrating a national championship in Brooks.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. A ray of hope in tornado-ravaged Oklahoma City today. The death toll from yesterday's massive twister has been revised down from 51 to 24. Still, it's unclear how many people remain missing and how many of those who died yesterday were children. Marcia Gonzalez has the latest.
Debris waves in the trees like a white flag of surrender. This small community of Moore, Oklahoma, nearly flattened by a tornado of unthinkable size and power.
It was really scary. I thought I was going to die there for a while. I just, laid in there and on the ground and held my dog close to me and just waited to see what was going to happen.
As the skies darkened and hail began to fall, students at Briarwood Elementary School huddled in hallways and bathrooms.
I had to tell them this is not a drill. And we need to be safe, and just laying my body on top of as many kids as I could.
All of the children at Briarwood survived, but just 5 miles away at Plaza Towers Elementary, a more dire scene. Only a sole blackboard sticking out from the rubble.
I had to hold on to the wall to keep myself safe because I didn't want to fly away in the tornado. A light went down and it hit me in the head, and all the other girls were screaming and they were crying.
I don't know what that lady's name is, but she had 3 little kids underneath her. Good job, Teach.
I was on top of 6 kids.
On top of 6 children?
I was lying on top of them.
And they're all okay?
All mine are okay.
Officials say at least 7 children died there and many more are still missing. The storm that tore apart families ripped homes to shreds. Debbie Guidry, her husband and a neighbor heard the sirens and took shelter here in their cellar, emerging after to find this.
This was our garage here. That where the fireplace is was our living room.
Was all that was left behind.
It's just a house. It was my house for 31 years, but it's just a house. And we got to come out together, and that's what's most important.
A family, a community together through yet another dark day.
Many of the residents here saying they got through that huge, deadly tornado that hit this area in 1999. They will get through this. President Obama has already promised federal aid money to help, and the director of FEMA is already here. Marcia Gonzalez, ABC News, Moore, Oklahoma.
We know of at least one Southern Albertan who was in Oklahoma City during the tornado, and he is reported to be okay. Edmonton Oilers prospect Brandon Davidson from Tabor plays for the Oilers farm team, the Oklahoma City Barons of the American Hockey League. We spoke with Davidson's dad and his uncle, who said they were very worried when the twister hit, but heard from Brandon shortly after saying that he was okay. They actually had been visiting him in Oklahoma City just a couple of weeks ago, watching some hockey, and said it was a beautiful city. In November, Davidson was diagnosed with testicular cancer, which he is recovering from. Okay, Dory, some big developments within the last hour in regards to the forecast.
Yeah, we do have some severe rainfall warnings out and possibility of some severe thunderstorm activity as well. Mostly right now for the southwest corner of the province. That activity is expected to start tomorrow and carry on into as far as Saturday. We've got this weather event, this rain event that's going to be happening. Southwest corner of the province could get up to 100 millimeters by this time Saturday in total of rainfall. So yeah, a lot of activity happening. I'll give you the details in a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Dory. Bomb disposal techs are en route to a farming property near on the Blood Reserve. Here's why. This afternoon, a farmer called the Blood Tribe Agricultural Project to say that he had found these objects, which look like bombs, while cultivating. Blood Tribe police and explosive technicians from CFB Suffield began investigating and confirmed that the objects are in fact aircraft practice bombs during World War II. on a bombing range near the Blood Reserve. Although they are decades old, bomb experts say they could still be explosive. They are being dealt with safely by the military. It's not the first time we've seen this happen. Recently, there was another incident in April when an old World War II bomb was found on an acreage near Barron's. Tabor man has been sentenced to 42 months in prison for breaking into a home and sexually assaulting an 89-year-old woman. 42-year-old Eric Sean Johnson appeared in Tabor court this morning. He pleaded guilty to charges of breaking and entering, sexual assault, and possession of marijuana. The incident happened March 22nd. The feisty senior was attacked in her Tabor home after taking a bath. She was forced to the floor, but she managed to fight off her attacker by stabbing him with a pair of scissors. She then escaped to the bedroom, locked the door, and called police. A suspect was arrested a few blocks away. Johnson received credit for serving 2 months in custody while waiting for trial. He will be placed on the sex offender registry for 20 years. RCMP say the driver of a vehicle involved in a fatal pedestrian collision Friday night on the Piikani First Nation may be unaware it even happened. A 26-year-old woman was killed while walking across Highway 3. Police are still looking for the driver, but say the circumstances are tragic and also highly unusual. Jeanette Roche has the latest.
The flag of the Piikani Nation flies at half-mast today, a quiet reminder that the band has lost one of its own.
She was a really good person. She was really respectful. She was always there when somebody needed her.
Hartwell North Pagan is talking about his sister-in-law and next-door neighbor, 26-year-old Edna Fourhorn's Warrior. Friday night at around 10:45 p.m., Fourhorn's Warrior was crossing Highway 3 at Range Road 282 on foot when she was struck by what RCMP believe was a 2x4 or similar object sticking out from the right-hand side of an eastbound vehicle. Authorities are still looking for the driver.
It's extremely tragic, and our hearts are definitely with the families in this incident, and we're doing the best we can to get to the bottom of this situation.
Range Road 282 is just 2 kilometers outside the 70-kilometer-per-hour speed limit in Brockett. Here at the accident scene, cars speed up to 100 clicks. There are also no lights in the area, and RCMP say it's very likely the driver wasn't even aware of what happened.
Police are requesting if anyone was traveling Highway 3 around that time of night, if they have any information, please contact Piikani Nation RCMP 403-965-2001. Any information is helpful.
Over the weekend, family laid down flowers in memory of Fourhorn's Warrior. They believe she was at a friend's house Friday night and leaving to come back home when she crossed Highway 3 and was struck.
We have no idea who it is, but hopefully they can come out and face the music.
Jeanette Roche, CTV News, Brockett.
A new company policy has some BC steel workers fired up. Tech Coal is randomly testing employees for drugs and alcohol. The union is fighting the new rule, but in the meantime, the testing continues. Kimberly Davidson has the story.
In December of last year, Tech Coal implemented a random drug test policy. That means that any worker must submit to a drug and alcohol test anytime they are asked. It's something their union calls a breach of their legal right to privacy.
The company is attempting to try and exercise rights over top of workers that law enforcement can't even exercise over top of citizens.
The union, United Steelworkers Local 9346, filed a grievance, and the matter is going through arbitration. The union also asked for an injunction of the policy until a decision is reached. That injunction has been denied. Arbitrator Colin Taylor wrote in his decision, "I have concluded that drug and alcohol testing are more amenable to being compensated in damages, whereas the risk of industrial accident carries greater potential for irreparable harm." Calls to Tech Coal for a comment on the situation were not returned. But when the policy was implemented, the company made this statement. "We strongly believe that taking measures to eliminate drug and alcohol abuse that can affect safety is an important way we can achieve our vision of everyone going home safe and healthy every day." The union claims the previous policy where employees were screened prior to starting work with the company following an incident or with probable cause of impairment was working fine. Alex Hansen says 2012 was a record year in terms of safety for the Elkview operation.
Of course, they're going to sell you that we want to make the universe a safer place, But in reality, what's happening is people's medications are being swept into this whole random procedure. And then in order to prove that you're not abusing your medications that a doctor has given you, then you have to produce your medical files. And that's where we have to draw the line.
Hansen says the union is willing to take the fight to the Supreme Court of Canada if necessary. Kimberly Davidson, CTV News, Sparwood.
We take you now to a huge celebration underway right now in Brooks. The city is welcoming home its AJHL hockey team. The Brooks Bandits are #1 in the country after winning big at the RBC Cup this weekend. Daryl Rummel joins us now from Brooks. Daryl, the whole community is celebrating.
Yeah, Jackie, always nice to come back to my hometown for a good reason, and this is one of those. The Brooks Bandits are celebrating a national championship after 2 hard years. The community really needed a win. This is one that's gone through a number of issues with the mad cow crisis dating back a few years, and then the tainted beef scandal of the last little while. This team was phenomenal this year. 20 straight wins to start out the year. 22 weeks they were atop the Canadian junior hockey world, and today they celebrated all. And the mayor says this is one of those days that you really have to celebrate because it's a win for the community.
It's a great, resilient community. We've known that for a long time. But yet when you have a team that comes from your community and wins a Canadian championship, that takes that word out across the country. So it's phenomenal.
So it's a win for the team, a win for the community, and we'll have a whole lot more on this coming up in sports with Glenn Campbell at 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Daryl. Well, why would you want to start thinking like a horse? A horse expert says horse owners can build a better relationship with their animals if they're on the same page psychologically. We have more in tonight's report from Farm TV.
Steve Rother knows horses. Known as the horse teacher, Steve has worked with over 20,000 horse and rider teams.
Our principles, we kind of have a natural horsemanship foundation. But what we primarily work with is owners that are having difficulties with the relationship with their horse. And that relationship can be lots of different aspects. Our primary clients tend to be backyard horse owners, but we also specialize working with performance horse people.
How do you build that relationship between horse and rider?
The relationship gets built in a number of different ways. Some people learn best through exercises, some learn best through little different techniques, some learn through patterns and drills, things like that. So what I try to do in my programs is really varied, and we do a lot of psychology, getting those horses to think and work with their owners better, but also psychology for the owners to think more like their horse so that the package combines easier.
Farm TV is brought to you by DA Building Systems.
And here's a look at the markets.